Welcome to Outcast Haven's podcast, episode 25, the 2020 finale. Thank God this year's about to be done.
Oh, yeah.
So, besides the year getting over with and looking forward to 2021, I thought it was a good time to look back at 2020 Fab Life and what we've appreciated and liked throughout this year. I know there's some frustrations for this year. The game is in a super weird spot right now as far as collectible card games go. A year and a half in its lifespan to be doing what it's doing right now as far as a market perspective, and no gameplay, no tournaments to speak of. You have prices for plasma barrel shotguns, cold foil going for $100, and nobody would use that card ever. So it's just a really, really weird spot, I think, right now for the game. But let's start with positive things that we've enjoyed through the year of Fab and move on from there. Dane, you got any good positives for the year?
Yeah, actually, I've got a lot of positives. I kind of see what you're saying about the game being in a weird spot, but like I think that I am happy to see that Legend Story Studios weathered this whole COVID thing and are continuing to weather it as well as they are financially, right? Like they're moving product, their retailers and distributors are selling product. Like there's no fear of, like, COVID didn't shut them down to the point where it's like, wow, now they need to rebuild confidence with like their distribution partners to move product and convince them that, hey, it was just this situation. Like they managed to create that sense of value in their product throughout this whole year. So that's fantastic. And I'm really happy to see that Legend Story Studios is still going strong and going to go into 2021 looking good, right?
And actually growing. I mean, to grow during the pandemic, not even just staying, just to grow at a crazy level.
And regardless of how you feel about like the collectability versus the player focus, I think that you can't argue that it's better for them to be in a good spot financially than it is to have all of their ducks in a row perfectly for a balanced player versus, collector / investor like focus, right? So they're there. I have the utmost confidence that they're going to get that straightened out as far as providing OP to some extent. Like having that get fleshed out in the future is much easier than recovering financially for a new game company. So I think that is like a great sign with where they sit right now. I just want to say, like, the one thing that I do want to point out is that they are very collector investor focused right now, which is fine. Like I said, it's put them in a good spot financially, but would love to see them, with the release of Monarch, put the onus back on, like, and I'm sure I don't know what your plans are for the night, but talking a little bit about like the low key announcement of like the Blitz decks for Monarch. I watched a really good video by Red Zone Rogue, who kind of covered what his thoughts are and what he thinks that the Blitz decks should look like. And I agreed with a lot of what he said. So if you haven't seen that video, check that out. But I think that giving that like a player focus and not making it uber collectible, people buying out like the Blitz decks because there's unique cards and stuff. I think that that's a really good opportunity to give people an easy in to the game. And I think it's going to be like some of their first steps into rebalancing the collector player relationship in the community. But yeah,
I just want to comment on that one. And this is where they've been very, very honest with the community, almost to a fault. The Legendary Story Studios has been. But what I think they should do on those Blitz decks is say, we're just going to print them until nobody will buy them, even if they are not going to do that. But just to get investors' minds off buying that product. Just say it's an unlimited print run. We're just going to print these until people stop buying them. Just say that.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? There's no collectability. There's no buyout of that product. It's now for the players. So I just wanted to interject on that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly though, like, to be fair, when it comes to like those starter kind of decks, to not overprint them is kind of a mistake in any game, because in order to get people to buy them, you have to put unique cards in them. Because if you put cards that just get reprinted in a set, they're great for beginners, but like then they do kind of lose like the luster later on. Whereas like if you put a unique card that's just worth something, when they go on sale, a lot of times you'll see players who just don't want to swap them from deck to deck. People will pick them up later, maybe when they're on sale, and that kind of helps the LGS out, or like a store out that's carrying them. Because it's like, how many times in your guys' gaming is there like a starter deck card that's good and you're like, man, I like that, I like that card a lot, but you're putting it in between multiple decks, and then later on you might pick up a couple extra because you're just like, I'm just tired of swapping like the things. Like I sleeve every deck in the same color just because then I proxy cards and I just swap the proxies. So like if I'm playing casually, I can just use it with the proxies in because I don't want to switch them. But the issue is like as soon as you make them something that has a unique card in it, then they're just going to get bought out like crazy. So it's a balancing act, I think, in this game, because the reality is starter decks are cheap to make, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I don't know the exact production numbers, but you're just printing the same thing over and over and over again, which is much easier for like a production company than printing unique packs that need to be like randomized and mixed around and all that kind of stuff. Like printing a line where you just go print this card 100 times and then put one in each box is much easier to do. So like they should be cheap to make. So they should be super accessible to the community, because I think what we've learned, even like Chris over at Top Deck, right? So he makes blitz decks to sell. I think for us, like we got in on constructed, and then when we played blitz, we were like reinvigorated before we went back to constructed being our main source of play, because blitz is kind of like a breath of fresh air. And I think the game pacing is faster, so it's more attention getting. If I remember like how many times in our games, like playing a constructed game, those last like 5 health points, they were just miserable to try and chip away at, because we didn't understand stacking a deck and those kind of things. And in blitz, the games can be so swingy that you never really have those like stale moments where you're just stuck on 2 life, because it's like, I mean, I just kind of burned through the whole deck. Like whatever happens, like I'm going to run into stuff, and there's some skill to it obviously, but I think those are like a really key product. And I'm happy to hear that they're making, like we talked about, the need for a starter deck again, like some sort of product for new players. And that's something I was actually really happy to see, is that I think making not just a starter, but making a blitz starter is 100% the way to go. I think that's a really, really good announcement. I'll be really curious to see what they look like. If it's like 4 different classes, if it's young heroes of, characters, is it 4 new young heroes?
That's what I was going to say. Is it the new ones or is it the older ones? That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It would be cool. I think it would be cool if like the practice going forward, personally, was put adult heroes in the sets, and then each set gets like a set of blitz decks that have the young hero in it. So like the deck is kind of focused on the young hero, and then the older version of the hero, so you can build it out in constructed.
There's
with
some
their
issues
specializations
with that,
and stuff.
but we can get into that when we talk about that. What about just overall, like the intro question that Jason had? Like, where do you think the game is?
Yeah, no, I think they're, the fact that they are putting some future focus on the player is good. Like focusing on getting new players into the game, because that's definitely a thing that games can sometimes falter on as they start to get older, is putting the onus on not just the player that exists, but realizing that the new player can create another line. And I think that's a really cool thing that they appear to have for the future that excites me, is they want to create an accessibility point for new players. And I think that's something that's really positive for the game going forward. And it's something that excites me, is that they're putting a focus on making sure that it's just not feeding the existing, like animal that is the current player base and the current collector base, but they're like trying to engage a new player base as the game goes on and create an accessibility, like an entry point for those people.
Yeah. So one of the most exciting things I'm most excited for is when James White did all the interviews, was talking about 2021 organized play. So the fact that they have a plan in place, hopefully, with vaccines rolling out, that there's not a huge delay in the plan. And I'm guessing they plan not to start January 1st, obviously, that this will be something that probably won't start till March. Because I think most of the world probably won't be ready for this till between March and June. So I'm super excited for organized play. I'm also excited that they are still shipping armory kits to LGSs. So they're getting it sounds like they're putting an emphasis on not to sell these ones, that they want these ones to go to the players, that this is what they're meant for, that those promos are an award, those mats are an award for your play of doing well in tournaments. That's your trophy. That's not a participation trophy. This is, I did well with my deck, this is what I won. So I like that they're putting emphasis on that. I've also seen that they're still doing a monthly, which is very frustrating for us that our LGS is not allowing us access to them right now, because they sent out KO for December. Kasai is going out for January. So there's a backlog sitting in our local game store that we don't have access to, that I actually spoken with them about, because I feel like if we got access to that and put that prize out, even if it's TTS, even if it's webcam, our personal Minnesota base is going to come rocking out. So hopefully in your area of the world, you're in touch with your local game store saying, hey, you don't need to sell this product. Us players will play. We will play any means possible. If we can't do it in person, we'll do it on the web. We'll do it on the TTS. Anything we can do, because we want that product and we want to earn it, and we're going to pay you for it, because it's going to be a 5, 10, 15, I think people will be fine with 20 with the prize support that's there, so that the game store can make money off that and we still get it. So I'm excited that the organized play stuff's still going out. I just hope that locally we can push it, and I hope in everywhere else that people are getting their stores to push it as well. So my positive is just all about organized play coming. So I'm excited for that.
I guess this isn't, I don't want to necessarily immediately jump to the negative, but I think honestly, like if I had to say one thing that I'm disappointed in this year that I wish was better, is tied directly to that. So I think some of these other games that have gone via webcam or gone via like digital, who have said, look, we're going to do local tournaments, we're just going to do them online. I played in one last night for a different game. I think the reason that those games you're able to do that, and this is just something we've talked about before and we've asked for multiple times, is locally we have a guy who the game stores trust as the judge. So Dom is our local judge for our game DBS. And basically the game stores say, look, communicate with us while it's happening, but we're going to trust you to oversee the game, because Dragon Ball Super has a very specific criteria for being a judge, and you have to pass tests, and then you basically have to keep up on it, and they're in groups that they keep up on all the rulings and things like that. So as a result, I think local game stars are able to entrust the responsibility of like the event to a judge who can handle all the questions and answers and who will maintain the integrity of the game. And you're not just like saying, okay, you're 5 guys who want to play, cool, we'll pay us, and then you just give us the thing, because there's no guarantee, right, that we're not all just getting together with some guys and going, hey, the market's insane, we just need to get our hands on these cold foil cards, so let's just play, and then we'll get our points, and then we'll get the cold foil, we'll sell it for $500, we'll split it 5 ways, we just made $80 a pop because we paid $20 for entry. Like, obviously most people aren't going to do that. Most players want to play for the game, but there's no structure in place to create integrity in the game, because like there's no, from the top down, there's no judging system, there's no criteria to be a judge, there's no official like judge and rules requirements. So there's no way to create a true organized play experience because you don't have those people in place. And I think that's like the one thing that, like, push all the collector stuff aside, all that, so whatever, that stuff will all flesh itself out in time. I want like judges and I want rules. Like that's
Yeah.
what I want more than anything in 2021, because that will result in a good OP system.
Yep. I'd like to change my answer, Jason. Actually, if I could get
Okay,
one
yeah,
one
go
wish for
ahead.
2021, I would like a comprehensive rules document to be published, like straight up lawyer, like refer to exhibit 1-A-11, like for this
Do you know
ruling.
what's crazy about this? And this might be new. I don't know where it's coming from, but I put that on the Facebook group and I got attacked like I'm some insane person. Nobody reads the rules. You don't need rules. What are you having issues with? Well, one issue I was having with was the Aetherize, and I know I've been overruled on that, but the way the card reads, it play, as an instant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so you're talking about something. An instant isn't a game state as far as we're concerned. It's only a card type. So just the way that's written, you need comprehensive rules, because right now we're just one person at this tournament rule it that way because they have a good grasp on the game. That's not the ruling I want. There's no FAQ, there's no errata, there's nothing on the website as far as rules are concerned. So we just have to take that. So there's not one central location. So what if a judge in America rules different than a judge in New Zealand rules?
Well,
so I mean, third judge in Malaysia.
Comprehensive rules solve that, right?
100%.
That's the problem being solved by that document.
And for anybody wondering, all three of us read the comprehensive rules in every game I play. Every game. And if you don't, you're the one that's a fool, because it's how you learn the game. The very little pieces of the game.
That's like going. I was just gonna say that's like that step from, like you're a casual player, you read the base rule book and like you just have fun, and that's great. And then
if you
take a step into competitive, and then you've got like a grasp on like the rules, but like a little more of like the intricate. Yeah, my dog just came in. You got like a little more grasp on like the intricate like interaction between the rules, and then you've got the level where you like dig into the actual like sequencing of how rules resolve and the quote unquote stack or what, like, and that's like just that next step to reach that next competitive level that we don't really have easy access to right now, and it's just word of mouth, which feels bad when you're like okay, this is how they ruled it at nationals or whatever it was, and okay, well that's the ruling, I guess, but I really would love to be able to reference a document that tells me this is why it's ruled that way and how it's resolved, and that just gives me a warm and fuzzy.
Right. Well, and that's because like like simple examples of things that we've talked about. Jason talked about like the instance and resolved as like card types versus a thing. We talked about like snag, like what we talked about how snag was resolved. It's like if I attack for 2 and then I add 2 and then I add 4 and then I add 3, at the end, is it resolved? Where in the damage step is all of these things happening? Like I need to know, like it's not enough for me to just say, okay, it's 11. Like it's not 11, it's 2 + 2 + 4 + 3. Are each of those instances resolved as 1 because they're added up? Is there a way to interact and interrupt the addition of those things? At what point do I add them together? Can you, it's like all of those things are important. And to pretend they aren't is to, again, to crumble and erode at the integrity of the game. Because if I don't know when it happens, it becomes a thing where like different tournaments can have different results because a rule is improperly interpreted, and that's a problem. If I judge one event and Dane judges another, and we judge the same thing differently, and two people, one gets a win and one gets a loss because of the same ruling, but taken a different way, that's problematic to the game, because now the people who won those events won both. One of them won wrong and one of them won right, and it's like I know that like, to some people, there is a right and a wrong, and to some people it's like, well, but it doesn't matter as long as like everyone agreed. Like, but it does matter, because at the end of the day, I don't get to plead my case to a judge as to why my ruling and my belief is right. I tell a judge what's happening and they tell me the interaction, and that's how it's ruled, because that's how it should be ruled. There should be concrete resolutions to every rule in the rule book, and the judges should know them. They should have a private group where they have interactions. If problems come up, And there should be one guy who is the go-to, who basically gives the final say-all to everything. Because even companies as big as Bandai have an American judge, David Fashbender, who is he's the be-all end-all for the judges, who says this is the ruling, and the judges go, yes, sir. Because that's what you need. You need a concrete document, and you need a concrete source that says this guy said it. He interprets the rule book and has the final say. And if you don't like it, you can message him, but it doesn't matter until he changes it.
Right, because when people say, well, no, that's how, LSS ruled it. Well, no, they didn't, because I went on their frequently asked questions and there's no rulings on there. There's no updated rulings on it. So nobody officially has ruled on any of these cards. Just throwing that out there, but that's true because there is no FAQ.
Important to note too that I don't think a lot of us have like disagreements with how things have been ruled so far.
No,
like, I get the whole Aetherize, like playing an instant or playing an action card as an instant, like that mechanic makes sense to me because it's an action card being played as an instant, but it's still an action card. Like that makes sense. Got it. But
see,
show me
in my fight on that is then it's also an instant card.
No, it's not. It's played as an instant. But anyways, we don't need to get into that. I don't want to get into any of these rules right now because that's not the point we're making. The point we're making is like it would be great.
I want to go right now. Dave.
No, the point that we're trying to make is that there just needs to be like that gold standard somewhere that exists.
Yep.
And I would like to read it. And then I would like to take the judging quiz, and because I love that type of stuff.
I think the key, right, is like we're not demanding it from a sense of like we personally want to know. We because yes, we want to know. We all love the rules. We all want to understand rules interactions because I think it's important. But more than anything, I think having a concrete set of rules, having a concrete set of judges, it procs the integrity of organized play because you're not having random local rulings that are different. You have somebody you can go to who can say like, hey, this is our local judge. Great. Has he taken the judging exam? Because if he hasn't taken the judging exam, it's fine that he's your local judge, but you can't take anything he says as exact concrete because he doesn't have an actual like proof that he's a judge. He's just a guy who knows the game. And it's like having people who take the judging exam, having people who have that like they know all of the interactions is important for organized play because it means that people are winning and losing correctly under the same set of rules across the country, hopefully.
So that leads into my frustration of right now it's really hard to go on the Facebook fan page. It's really, really hard for me because there's nothing. I've tried to make a couple posts about putting deck lists together, but those are getting so hidden and few and far between because everything is a meme of what the value of this card is, and I cracked this and I murked that and whatever else language people are using to describe their amazing pulls. It's like, first and foremost, this is a game. They spent 7 years making an amazing game to play. For the love of God, can we speak about the game? Just a little bit. Like, give us at least a 50-50 mix of let's talk about the game, what interactions you've had, something that came up if you're locals, if you're having it, something cool like that. If you did a jank thing with your buddies, if you've done Ultimate Pit Fight lately, which we will be doing more, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see that.
I will say that the fan page is not 50-50 right now, even close, which it makes me sad. And honestly, like when I see a notification of the fan page, it just hurts me because like the fan page even 2-3 months ago was like very much like talking about new decks or techs or talking about what people were playing. But I get a notification for the fan page and I'm kind of like, nah, I'll look at that later. It's probably just some dude posting a picture of his boxes or something, which sucks because like I loved like getting those notifications before. So I don't know how to, but it's just where the emphasis is right now, which is
that's
painful.
why I am making a Players Club fan page. That's going to be a North America like tournament scene page. And I want it to be local, so people just reporting what meta they've seen in their locals. It'll be for tournament organizers to post tournaments because I feel like it's going to get lost in the fan page. If we leave just that one fan page, we need something else. So I'm going to make it. I'm going to ask for members of the community, store owners to become moderators and stuff on it because I don't want to run it really. I just want to have it. I want to get it up so we have it going. So when
Mhm.
James White has this amazing announcement about 2021 OP, let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like
so
that.
like, yeah, one of the things that like drew me in when we played Star Wars Destiny, one of the coolest things was that every week, whenever there were locals, and now to be fair, we do have like the gaming community in Minneapolis is a kind of absurd sometimes, like in the volume of it, right? No matter what game you play, give it a little time when COVID isn't happening, and there's bound to be multiple locals. When we played Destiny, there were like sometimes 6 and 7 locals a week, which is so stupid to even think of again. Like they were playing 6 to 7 nights a week, they had a local. What was awesome is all of the store owners or the people who were running the events had this kind of thing where they were like, hey, post the results. So every day you would have a notification from the group. You would see who placed where, what their records were, and then they always had the deck list, or like not the deck list, but like who was the deck about, you know. And it was like your characters. And I like, to me, that was something that I actually looked forward to. Like, oh man, where are they playing tonight at this store? I'm, you know, those usually these guys are there. I wonder what's hot. And then a new set would drop, and it was even crazier because you're just like, oh man, what's new? Like what's happening? And it would be really cool to have like that, even if it's just, I don't even care if it's just like 4 guys who get together and jam games, who are like, hey, me and my buddies played like a round robin Swiss thing, and we played 4 rounds, just the 4 of us, and you know, we played like whatever. I don't even care how that works. Just give me the information. Like give me more competitive information so I can see what's happening in the game scene, because at the end of the day, like I'm a player at heart. Like I'm totally indifferent to the collecting thing, and I try like my absolute best to not get super jaded and just be absolutely like annoyed by it and just leave groups because of it. But at the end of the day, it's because like I love the game and I want the game to thrive and I want the game to survive. And I would love it if I could just go on a feed and see deck profiles and see other people's gameplay and see. And right now, to both of your point, that stuff is just getting absolutely buried in an avalanche of just random pictures in random piles of stuff. And again, it's cool, whatever. Like some people get a kick out of that. We were literally talking before we got on the podcast about I have all kinds of nonsensical Star Wars and Dragon Ball stuff all over my office. People have sports memorabilia. I got some of that. But like if I'm in a group that's like talking about a sports team, I don't want people just posting their memorabilia all day. Like I have zero interest in that. And I get that there's a community of people who love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay to talk about the game. Talk about what happened on Sunday in the football game. Don't just show me your autographed picture of the running back, because at the end of the day, I don't care about that. Like I care about the game, man. Talk about the game, baby.
Yeah. And I think that it's important to note too that like this isn't, we're not, like Jason came up with this idea to just start like the actual player page, and it's not like a shot at the fan page.
No,
like, the fan page just is what it is, right? But the market will determine what is provided. And right now, if you're just a guy that wants to play and like see how things did, Blake, to your point, you want to see like, oh, that dude ran a cool list. Like, what's your deck list? Like, just start conversations like that, because I feel like you get what I want to see. And what I love about communities and the other games that we play is that there's a lot of community interaction. And the thing that kills me about the fan page now is there's not a whole lot of interaction. Like the collectors are interacting a little bit, like, nice, dude, cool pull, or dude, where'd you get, like, great find on the box prices. Like that's community interaction. But like all the players aren't getting any community interaction. Like your post about, you know, where the game's at, they got like 170 comments. Like I feel like it's just like, oh, players see like a post that they can actually put input in on, like, what are you running for blitz decks? So like, what's your jank build? And like just comments. And it's like people want to have those conversations. There's just not like a really good outlet that is focused or centric around that, and we just want that, so we're gonna make it. Yeah.
So I think going into 2021, maybe we'll maybe in our podcasts, for not everybody that's watching live stream, we'll hit some of the deck builds we did for the previous live streams. If locals go, I would like to report on that once we get going. I think the focus for our local scene, I'm really going to put a hard focus in going into 2021. I talked to the LGS. They said they would support with the OP kits that they have. So hopefully we can bring you some of that meta reports and gameplay interactions on our podcast, because that is ultimately our goal, is to talk more gameplay and not the rest of the stuff. If there was tournaments, that's what we'd be talking about. As decks run, who ran them, we'd be interviewing players, having the players on. But we just don't have that. So hopefully in 2021, the channel will be, or the podcast specifically, we can focus on that. And then also we'll be bringing you more crossover content creators. So we'll be having more people on that are also producing content, just because we feel that if we all get together, we just help grow a healthy game for 2021. So 2020, by the time you watch this, there'll be 5 days remaining in the year. 4 days, 6 days. Final thoughts for the year, final podcast. Anything you want to rewind from our first year, which has been super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it's kind of crazy for what we started with and where we are now. It's been a lot of fun. We have personally met tons of people within the community and have talked to outside of Facebook or this, whether it's messaging, it's on Discord. So we've met tons of people. I'm super stoked for such a horseshit year that we got to meet great people, got to do this content, and continue to play. So that's kind of my 2020 is, it's over. This COVID, it's almost done. Let's get playing. I'm excited for 2021. Blake?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year has definitely been it's been the strangest year of anybody's lives, I think, for the most part. But I definitely like looking back. I know in other games we've had conversations about doing content and things like that. And we were just like, well, let's just dive in and do it. And some of our first videos were just us getting together and talking, and the quality wasn't great, and nothing about it. We didn't know what we were doing or getting into, and we were just taking a stab in the dark.
We still don't.
The fact that I mean, we're still kind of stabbing in the dark a little bit. Like, we're just trying to figure it out still sometimes. But to be this far in and to continue to have people like subscribing tells me we're going positive still, right? We're trending positive, which means hopefully we're adding some positivity to the community. Hopefully we're adding some energy to the community, and just content that people are interested in that hopefully continues to help grow the game. I think reflecting back on this year, it'll take a lot to blow me away more than LSS did. Sending us like those cards, still
amazing.
Sits in my deck box in a very tight snap case that's very hard and protective, because I want to make sure things safe. But it's been a great year. It's been a really, really cool year doing content, and I look forward to doing a lot of fab content for a long time. Like, I want us to be pioneers that stick around for a long, 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 long time,
right,
in the fab community. So,
yeah, and I think that, I mean, much of the same as what you guys said, but I'm just really grateful, man. I'm really grateful that we decided to like make this sort of like our flagship stepping off point for content, was taking a chance on this company where we had tested the game and it was really fun, and they seemed like they were really wholesome, like player driven and collector driven, like community driven, right? And really cared about feedback, and we're like, you know what, like, let's do it with this game. This game seems like it's gonna be good, and we'll hopefully stick around. And I've only had my confidence bolstered, really, sincerely. Like, even with any controversy you might think that we have as far as dislikes or disappointments with what's happening, like, I really am grateful that LSS has proven to me that they are the company that we thought they were when we started this. And I am really, really excited to see what 2021 holds, just because 2020 has been a crapshoot, and I think that they've managed to bolster how I feel about them regardless of all that. So
yeah, well, we just want to thank from Outcast Havens, thank all 324 subscribers. And we think, if you're not a subscriber, thank you still for watching. But you can subscribe. The button's right there. Mm-hmm. And we will let's play some games and have some fun in 2021. Boom, dad pun.
Peace.
See ya.